All right, welcome back to the book called Two Signs and Coincidences from God, part 27. And we're going to go ahead and get into this. And if you remembered in part 26, there was a thing about 2010 and nothing, and I kid you not, no coincidences happened for literally about 2 years. There was nothing more to add. It's like they stopped. And then here in July of 2010, I say 9 churches, not 7. Whoa. The Lord has revealed to me through some more coincidences that the very church I attend, that He led me to before the 7 churches were revealed to me, is indeed another point on the cross. With that said, I began to think that if that were the case, then the church called Westside in Kettle River, Minnesota, is indeed actually the first church revealed to me, as I was led there before any of the other 7 churches were given to me. The church I regularly attend started doing a local ministry outing at a local event called Ma and Pa Kettle Days. They called it the West Side Corral. At this corral, the church members gave away free hot dogs, free pop, free face painting, free balloons, did a free cake walk, and provided a place for moms to sit down and the little ones could play in the sandbox with toys. It really went over well, and many people came to the corral. And so we have expanded it and are adding to it. Last year, while at the corral that the West Side Church as hosting during the Ma and Pa Kettle Days, I was looking at a building with a large blank brick side and thought, wow, if we painted that white, we could do Christian karaoke up on the side of that building when it got dark. And after voicing my idea to a couple of people and our pastor, they knew who owned the building, got permission, and a few weeks later painted the thing. Wow. We tried it out one night and it worked really well, with the projector displaying the words to the karaoke songs up on the wall. I began to think about the corral and all the free things there were for families to do there, and it kind of hit me that this was the very thing, this was the very thing that I had prayed about while at Moondance Jam when the Crossfest revelation first came to me. And then I began to think, is Kettle River actually one of the points on the cross? No, it couldn't be. That would be 2 points in Minnesota, and then the cross would be lopsided, and would need to have another point like in Louisiana to balance it out. But maybe this is what I have been missing and waiting for. So I began to pray. I asked God to tell me if Kettle River was indeed a point that I had missed and actually point number 1, which would then mean that I would need to find another point, point number 9, to balance the cross out, so to speak. And so I prayed for knowledge and guidance about point numbers 1 and 9. And then I waited for my answer, and waited. Was this something or nothing? I started thinking, questioning everything. How could I have missed this? Well, early on, I was given when I was first given the points, I lined up Hot Springs with Moose Lake because that's where I live. And as you know, the line was off. And when I moved the line perfectly straight up and down from Hot Springs, that is when the line intersected Austin. And that is what clicked because of all the Austin signs and coincidences that I had gotten prior to that and was wondering why Austin kept coming up, but had no idea about the cross at that time. Well, it turns out that Kettle River is like 7 miles west of Moose Lake and really close to the 93rd. In fact, the church is like 1.8 miles from the 93rd line perfectly. It's very close. I just never considered it to be one of the points for some reason until the thought hit me at this small town festival where our church was doing some community outreach. Okay, back to the praying and waiting. I was planning our vacation and my prayers were starting to sound like, Lord, if you are telling me that there are 9 points on the cross over the United States, and I need to confirm this by knowing that the West Side Church in Kettle River is the first point on the cross, then during my vacation, am I supposed to drive down to Louisiana and find the ninth point? Would I need to plan to do that on my vacation, Lord? Basically, I was looking for confirmation that my thinking was correct. I wanted to be absolutely sure that there was indeed 9 points, and that if that were the case, then I would need to find another church in Louisiana. The first coincidence that brought me before was at a car wash. My niece was with my wife and I, and we were getting gas at a holiday gas station. I sent my niece inside the gas station to get a car wash code as we pre-bought some car wash coupons that were on sale. She came out of the gas station with the code and said, "Now that's a coincidence." I said, "What is?" And she said, "This code is my combination number at school." I thought. Interesting. I will keep that in the back of my head. Never know where that could lead. As I was filling up the gas tank, my niece then said to me, "Hey, that guy over there filling up his tank is wearing the same jacket as you." Again I thought, this is interesting. I will keep that as well. So I began to think, what is the coincidences here? I have a combination code, something you keep secure, and a guy with the same jacket. Maybe it is that both things happened while I was at Holiday gas station, and holiday is a very specific word used for vacation. That could very well be. Yes, maybe yes. But I didn't get too excited. I was still a little suspect at that being it. And so I waited. But mind you, I kept the coincidence that just happened close at heart. Almost exactly 1 week later, I think it was like February or so, and the weather is cold and snowy, and the cars get really dirty and full of salt. We pulled into the same gas station and again needed another car wash for some more gas. We usually only go to this station in the winter to get gas and car washes. In the summertime, we never go to this particular gas station. So anyway, I sent my niece into the station again to get another car wash code. We happened to have one more coupon. She came back out and said, "Wow, another interesting number on the ticket." I said, "Really?" She showed it to me. The number was 19191. Okay, now seeing this particular number could mean a lot of things, and possible nothing at all to most people. But to me, at this particular time, it was like a bomb went off, and the bells and whistles blew, and the ding 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 sounded, and all that because it hit me like a brick. Pow! You see, that number is right on as part of my social security number, a secure number like last week with the combination number to a lock, which is something you keep secure. A secure number, a social security number, and the fact that the numbers were 19191 is exactly what I prayed for to get confirmation on whether or not I should take a holiday and go confirm church 9 because I actually found church number 1. Wow, amazing. Okay, got that. Thank you, Jesus. Yep, going to Louisiana. Yes, sir, no doubt about it. Road trip. Yeah. Before going on vacation and leaving June 4th, 2010, I pulled up the Google Maps and figured that if Kettle River was so far north of Austin by so many miles, then the spot in Louisiana should be exactly so many miles south of Hot Springs. I figured out the distance and then went to the Louisiana part and found that the cross on the 93rd went through a town called Natchitoches. But down in Louisiana, they pronounce it Natchitoches. Natchitoches. I don't know why they pronounce it that way. That's just what they do down there. I found out a movie named Steel Magnolias was filmed there and that the town was well known for its Christmas festival. Just before leaving to actually drive down there on June 4th, I did a church lookup online and saw that there were a bunch of churches in that town. And one thing that I did notice was that there were a lot of Baptist churches. There was even one Baptist church called Westside. I thought. As I was driving down there to Natchitoches, Louisiana, I had been noticing that West Side was coming up coincidentally on license plates and towns and billboards. And call it what you will, I was tuned in. But the way I was noticing them was like uncanny in that I had not done something at just the right time. It would have never been seen. The next day, June 5th, we arrived in Natchitoches, and not one single coincidence along the way that was noticed by me or my wife or our niece who was with us or my mother-in-law Lois. Um, Interesting enough, I don't think I talked about this before, but a long time ago when I was down at the Houston Astrodome, and my wife called and said her mom got throat cancer, and we were praying for her. That was Lois, and Lois, they cut a hole and cut that cancer out, and she was fine. She lived many, many, many more years after that. She had to put her finger over a hole in her throat, but she was healed. Lived many more years after that. But one thing very interesting happened as we pulled into the city limits of Natchitoches. We were scanning radio stations at the time and trying to find a decent Christian station. We then heard a really good Christian song on the radio, and my wife said, "Hey, guess what station this is on?" I looked at the radio and it said 97.3. Wow, it's the same station number as our Christian station back home. Cool. Our Christian station back home is run by a Christian college called Northwestern. Well, seeing as we had no other idea of what church to go to, I was kind of getting the feeling that the whole time it was West Side, really linking the two together in the 19191 thing. The 1 and 9 realizing them at the same time and having the same name and all. Really was interesting. After driving about 1,200 miles, it turns out that the West Side Baptist Church was having their second service right when we pulled into the driveway. I thought, now that is timing. I walked in, always kind of nervous when you walk into a church for the first time, and I have heard things about Baptist churches and how loud they get and was actually looking forward to it. But when I walked in, they were playing the same songs in worship that we play at the West Side in Minnesota. It was like if my eyes would have been closed, it would have been the same church. After the service, I spoke with the pastor and told him everything about the cross and the coincidences, and then told him to pray about it and wait, that something would happen for sure. It will be known worldwide. I told him of the cleaning that I believe the Lord has shown me, and that I told him to prepare for anything and everything, and that I would stay in touch with him if anything new happened. And then I left and went out to meet my family who was waiting for me. As I looked across the street of this church, there was a huge school or college, and I asked my wife, who had just gotten back from driving around town, what that was over there. And she said, "It is Northwestern College." I was like, "Wow, really?" And we turned the radio back on, and this time was no Christian songs on 97.3. It must have been a one-time thing, but we all heard it, and I guess we only needed to hear the one song on that specific station to put the two and two together and give me the confirmation that I needed. So we got the 97.3 coincidence, which ties in with Northwestern College. We go to this West Side Baptist Church in Natchitoches. Across the street, Northwestern College. Turns out, had we not turned the radio station on at that very exact moment, we wouldn't have even gotten that sign because it's not a Christian radio station. For some reason, this one Christian song crossed over to mainstream, and we were able to listen to this Christian song as a fluke. I kid you not. The timing, oh, just mind blowing. Uh, yeah, we are now having a Christian stage after our West Side Chorale event at Ma and Pa Kettle Days. This August 14th, 2010, we will be doing the Christian karaoke after live bands are done playing at dusk. There is no charge to listen to the music. What a concept. We are going to go right into the middle of a community, give food away, have free entertainment with a positive message, and preach the gospel to them while they are at a festival that is mostly known for beer drinking and having a street dance with some mud bog races. Everything is coming together. People are calling me to play music. A band is coming up and charging us gas money and food, and we were able to get use of a stage and a free sound system and even a person to run it. Everything we have needed is and has been getting provided. Now this event is a West Side Church sponsored event. Could it be the very first start of Crossfest? It's in 20 days from now. I just know something will happen that will confirm this or not. Stay tuned. Well, nothing really confirmed it for me, but it happened. We did it. We did everything in that small town that I had a vision for, and although people didn't cross the street and come over from the bars and the mud bog like we had wanted, oh, they heard us. They heard our music. They knew we were there, and I just hope seeds were planted. A few people did come over, but I really had fun. I really had fun. November 23rd, 2010. I received a coincidence of Dallas. I was shopping with my wife and ran into a guy I work with named Dallas. I hadn't seen him for a few years as he moved to another facility. I met him at the grocery store about 50 miles from my home. Afterwards, I ran into him again at the hardware store, Menards. Wow, we laughed and joked about who was following who. But you know me, I was thinking, okay, flag up. November 26, 2010. I was at Menards again and ran into Dallas again. Again we laughed and thought about who was still following who. But then we continued to shop and afterwards went out to eat lunch. We again ran into Dallas. Now at this time I am really going, whoa, something is definitely up here. Lord, you have my full attention. Twice and consecutively on two separate days. So I began to pray to God and ask him what was going to happen at Dallas. I remember getting a levy for a levy sign about 5 months before Katrina hit, but was unable to put that together with a coincidence I had of New Orleans, because when I received New Orleans, I didn't think it meant keep it for later. I thought it was a now sign to talk about with a coworker of mine and to use that to share about coincidences in God. When I received the sign for a levy for a levy, I prayed for Austin, Minnesota, one of the points on the cross, as they had flooded the year before, And when I went down there, I thought nothing more of it until Katrina hit New Orleans 5 months later on August 29th, 2005. Then I went, oh, I missed those signs. I didn't even know New Orleans had levees. So as I got Dallas, I was praying that I was not going to miss this set of signs like I did last time. I prayed, Lord, what are you telling me about Dallas? Now I am assuming this is Dallas, Texas. December 1st. I had ordered some parts for a floor scrubbing machine at work quite a few months ago. We had been waiting for them and wondering when they would arrive. So finally, I called the person I had sent the order to and asked them if they had any word as to whether or not, or to where and when the parts would arrive. She said they came in just today, a little while ago, as a matter of fact. She then delivered them. Now I thought, all this time wondering when these parts would arrive, it surely was a coincidence that they came on the very day I finally called to ask about them. When the parts were delivered, they were in a bag marked Minuteman, as this machine was a Minuteman floor scrubber. I then thought about the coincidence and noted Minuteman. I began to think about what that meant or could mean. I used to be a nuclear weapons specialist. The first thing that came to my mind was a missile, a big missile. The ICBM type with big nuclear payloads, and I thought, whoa, oh my, oh my. Could I be wrong? Well, I then had some questions. Was the Dallas, Texas, Dallas, Georgia? The USS submarine Dallas? Was it something about the Dallas, the person I met? Could the Minuteman thing be the Revolutionary War Minuteman? Like on the New England Patriots football team helmets? Lord, what are you telling me here? Well, then I thought about New Orleans and the warning for the whole city and the levees doing some pretty serious damage to the city. This then led me to believe the city Dallas, the one in Texas, as it is the most known. And the Minuteman sign, I believe, is a type of missile, and this is a warning from God about this. And so I began to pray and to warn as many as I could. So I thought about this a lot, and I started thinking about Dallas, and I realized that Dallas was hosting the Super Bowl this year in February of 2011. Actually, it's in Arlington, Texas, just like Bloomington is just outside of Minneapolis. But they always talk about Minneapolis and Dallas, not Bloomington and Arlington. Well, just like Katrina for New Orleans, I really began thinking this was a serious warning and a serious thing going to happen for Dallas. I began to pray to God to confirm this and to let me know if this was indeed some attack going to happen at the Super Bowl. I began to pray and pray. December 7th, I was training at the prison I work at. We have online training that we need to do, and whenever we have extra time in class, we log on to our local network and we work at our own pace doing online training. At that time, I had many of the lesson blocks completed. I did a couple more and then opened a block on offender rights. In the lesson, an example was given about an offender named Joe Jackson. I kind of chuckled because a few days prior I had gotten an email from someone I know letting me know about a former Minnesota Viking player named Joe Jackson who was going to preach at a local church in town. I turned around behind me and talked to a good friend and coworker of mine who used to live in the neighborhood where this local church was at. I said to him, "Hey, you know that church in your old neighborhood?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, Joe Jackson from the Minnesota Vikings is going to be speaking there." He said, "Oh, really?" Then I said, "The funny thing about that is that I am reading the example in one of the training blocks, and it is talking about an inmate named Joe Jackson." Laugh out loud. I just thought that was kind of funny and possibly coincidental. He then said, "You want to know what? I am reading that exact same thing right now." I then said, "Wow, really? I think now I am definitely going to go hear him speak." We chuckled a bit and I continued my training. I know God wanted me to go. Amen to that. That was a pretty rare coincidence that of all the training blocks and pages that we could have been on, we both were on that same page. It was very rare indeed. December 12th, 2010. At this time, I am going to say that this is the end of part 27. So thanks for being with me, and come back because this gets kind of good here. We're talking about Dallas. Got a coincidence with Joe Jackson. Very interesting what's going to happen at the Super Bowl in Dallas. And I kid you not, you're going to want to come back and check this out. So God bless, and you take care. I'll see you for the next part.